Good morning from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's 10:22 a.m. on the 22nd of July. Let me just check. Yes, it is indeed the 22nd of July 2025. And as you can see by the Verulian sky behind me, I think that's the right word. Anyway, the spectacular blue and the sunshine and the happiness. It's an exquisite day here at Holland Park, Brisbane, Australia. It's very, very beautiful. So I've put the birdie boys out this morning. They're outside with me. You can hear them twittering. And I thought I'd continue reading from The Mythic Journey. I'm a bit tired this morning. I don't know why I'm so tired, because I slept reasonably well, but oh well. Swings and roundabouts with the Mama T. You never know what you're gonna get. And I just have to carry on as per normal. So my tea's gone cold, so before I carry on, I'm going to heat up that tea. Be with you forthwith. Right, you are. While I was in the kitchen, I had some vitamin D, so I'm having a bit of cheese to help process the vitamin D, because you've got to have fat with it. Avocado is best, but I've run out of avocado. I've got to go shopping today for food. Boring! I hate food shopping, but we've run a bit low at Sacred Space, and necessary evil will have to be dealt with. I just can't be bothered right now going shopping. Rather live in psychedelic dreamers world and read mythical stories to my beautiful YouTube audience. Right, let us begin. Chapter 2, the Eternal Triangle. The eternal triangle, by its very name, indicates that humans have always had difficulty in loving one person exclusively. Triangles are the essential stuff of the world's great poetry, drama and fiction, as well as of many lawyers' incomes by the goddess. Infidelity hurts and demeans us, yet it also fascinates us, perhaps because we know its sufferings and enchantments all too well. The eternal triangle is an archetypal experience, and psychology is full of explanations about why we stray. We know, sometimes from bitter experience, that loss of trust corrodes marriages and destroys family life, and deceit makes us feel humiliated. Some of the greatest human suffering arises from betrayal. Yet we are really no closer to understanding why we seek monogamy and enact polygamy than we were millennia ago, when the great myths of sexual and emotional betrayal were first written down. The marriage of Zeus and Hera, commitment versus freedom. One of the most famous mythic portrayals of infidelity is the marriage of Zeus and Hera, classical king and queen of the gods. Just watching the scrub turkey approaching me with great determination. I've got my slippers on, otherwise he'll bite my toes. What do you want, nasty bird? Go about your business, nothing to see here. Only Mama telling stories. Honestly. Here we find not just one triangle, but a sequence of them. For Zeus is the archetypal serial adulterer, with Hera the jealous wife. Their married life is a catalogue of affairs, seasoned with jealousy, revenge, and illegitimate children. Yet somehow their marriage survives. Zeus was king of heaven, and it was he who organised and governed the smooth and orderly workings of the cosmos. He married his sister Hera after a highly romantic courtship, and it seemed he was besotted with her. But from the very beginning of the marriage, he was unfaithful to her, and she was hurt and furiously jealous. They bickered constantly, and Zeus was not averse to occasionally beating her to silence her accusations and protests. Hera was enraged by his constant pursuit of other loves, goddesses and mortals, women and boys. The constantly changing objects of his desires always required great inventiveness and effort to pursue. and he often had to shapeshift in various disguises and animal forms in order to slip past angry husbands and possessive fathers. For Leda, he transformed himself into a swan. Pardon me. For Europa, a bull. For Demeter, a stallion. And for Danae, a shower of gold. Yet the moment he had achieved his desire, sorry, my chair's sinking into the ground and it's not comfortable, people of Earth. So try that again, Sam. It's going to keep happening, isn't it? Because the ground's wet. Right, where were we? Yet the moment he achieved his desire, the object of his love would no longer appeal to him, and he would be off in search for a new one. I know someone like that. I know many someones like that. I grew up with people like that. They're actually despicable. They've got no fucking couth. But anyway, that's only my, life experiences and trauma responses. I mean, at the end of the day, who fucking cares? I'm living my best life, living happily ever after, and that's all that matters. Enjoying life and maintaining my freedom. In my other paradigm, honestly. Hera, on the other hand, spent most of her time feeling wounded and rejected. She concentrated all her energies on seeking out proof of Zeus's adultery, and then working out some cunning plan to humiliate him and take revenge on his lovers. It's all rather silly, isn't it? You know, they're going to fuck, people of Earth. They're going to fuck whether you take revenge or not. And ultimately the revenge is on them anyway, because they always get shucked off for someone else. It's the nature of the beast. Just take your turn in the long line of discarded vagine and find your own man who adores you. That's the way it's going to be, babies. Right, anyway. There's a little bit of Hera in every woman, but Hera let her man beat her, so Mama T does not approve of that. Anyway, where were we? It's not really fair to say that women let their men beat them. But women who stay in Stockholm Syndrome type relationships as victims for too long lose themselves, people of Earth. Battered wife syndrome is a terrible, terrible thing. Right. And it always starts with the man dishonouring them in many other ways. Sexual, financial, mental, emotional, long before the beating starts. Although my husband hit me when we were only 6 months married, he didn't do it again. And the reason for that was I threatened his 6'3" lard ass. Don't ever lay a hand on me again if you wish to live. So he found other ways of demeaning and humiliating me, using my own family and friends against me too. Oh, he was vile. It's terrible how some people still draw breath on this planet. They're just vile. But anyway, he's got a few broken marriages behind him now, which was proof that he's vile. And the mama too. Never married again because she wasn't so stupid, and continuously strives to live her best life, to heal from all the trauma, including my childhood traumas, and to never, ever, ever let the bastards grind me down, and pursues my quest for my one true love, a man who genuinely respects me. Could happen one day. There's a wonderful man out there somewhere. This is not an invitation to all the men who watch my YouTube videos. This is not a dating agency, and I do not invite, attentions via my YouTube. It happened once, and it went very, very bad very, very quickly. Waste of my time and energy. But, I thought that person was quite heartfelt and sincere. It's funny, I always think they're heartfelt and sincere. I must be a bit stupid in some levels. It's because I'm too spiritual. I like to give people, a chance to show me who they really are. Doesn't take long, people of Earth. Right, let us continue on with the story. It sometimes seemed as if this gave her life meaning, taking revenge on his lovers and humiliating him back. In other words, they were as bad as each other, weren't they? Yes. Two sick motherfuckers together. Since she did little else. Zeus's illegitimate children, who were as myriad as the stars in the sky, were especially in danger of Hera's wrath, and she always persecuted those whom she feared Zeus loved more than her or the legitimate children of their marriage. That can be a very vicious dynamic when you have a stepmother who hates you, or alternatively, a stepfather who hates you, and is only after your mother's money, by the way, and nobody bloody believed me when I said so. Fucking Egypts. But anyway, she drove Dionysus mad and contrived to have his mother Semele burned to death. She tormented Heracles, the son of Alcmene, with impossible tasks. She even bound her husband with thongs and threatened to depose him, although he was conveniently and inevitably rescued by the other gods. Yet through it all their relationship continued, and their passion periodically resuscitated itself. Let me just show you the beautiful painting. Detail: God Jupiter, which is the Roman name for Zeus, falling for Io, while Juno watches. Juno is Hera. Jacopo Amiconi, 1682 to 1752. Hera was quite capable of borrowing Aphrodite's golden girdle to enchant and excite Zeus's desire to suit her own ends. During the Trojan War, Hera, who held a particularly strong grudge against the Trojans, used this magic girdle to seduce Zeus and distract him from offering his protection to Troy. Zeus was every bit as jealous as Hera, and he adhered firmly to a double standard. Once a mortal called Ixion wanted to seduce her, but Zeus read his mind and shaped a false Hera out of a cloud, upon which Ixion proceeded to take his pleasure. Zeus then bound him to a fiery wheel which rolled through the heavens for eternity. On another occasion, Hera decided she had had enough, so she left her husband and went into hiding. Without his mighty wife at his side arguing and berating him, great Zeus felt destitute and lost. His other love suddenly seemed less interesting. He searched everywhere for Hera. Finally, taking the wise advice of a mortal experienced in marriage matters, Zeus gave out word that he was going to marry someone else. He fashioned a statue of a beautiful girl, draped it in veils like a bride, and paraded it through the streets. On hearing the rumours which Zeus had carefully spread, excuse me, oh, that came on suddenly, Hera hurried out of hiding, rushed to the statue, and tore the veils off her imagined rival, only to discover the rival was made of stone. When she realised she had been duped, she burst out laughing, and the couple were reconciled for a time. And for all we know, they may still be quarrelling and reconciling, hurting, deceiving, and loving each other on Mount Olympus to this day. Very likely. Commentary. The marriage of Zeus and Hera is certainly not a harmonious one, and the moral climate of our present society is quick to condemn any latter-day Zeus who behaves as the ancient Greek god was said to have done. Yet there is passion and excitement in this marriage, and each partner is lost without the other. On the surface, we may take a conventional moral stance and condemn Zeus's adultery. However, there are deeper levels to this marriage, which may surprise us with their insights into the nature of what binds people together. Why should these two powerful deities, each quite capable of divorcing and choosing a less stressful partner, remain together? Zeus is the epitome of creative power and ingenuity. His shape-shifting and ceaseless pursuit of the ideal tell us that he is a symbol of the mysterious, fluid, fertile, and potent power of the imagination, which cannot be bound or contained within conventional worldly structures and rules. Hera, on the other hand, is the goddess of home and family, and symbolizes those bonds and social structures which involve continuity, responsibility, rules, and respect for tradition. In fact, these deities are two sides, of the same coin. and reflect two dimensions of the human psyche, which are forever at war, yet forever dependent on each other for their fulfillment. In most relationships, yes, my darling, one individual tends to lean towards the imaginative dimension of life, while the other leans more towards containing and structuring life. But we all possess both these capacities and need both in our lives. What are you excited by, little Kermie? You're a very handsome boy, aren't you? Oh, yes, you are. You're a very pretty bird. We got company. Is that who you're talking to? Yes. If we understand Zeus's infidelities on a psychological level, they reflect a ceaseless quest for beauty and magic, and a desire for self-expression, which is the essence of any artist's creative power. If we understand Hera's jealousy also on a psychological level, we may glimpse the difficulty and the great strength of remaining committed in life, and the anger we inevitably feel when our freedom is curtailed by our own choice, while someone else appears to get away with self-indulgence without consequences. Each of us, a man or woman, may identify with either Zeus or Hera. Yet this mythic marriage really tells us that both Zeus and Hera exist within each of us, and if we wish to avoid having their marriage enacted in painful and concrete ways in our own lives, we might be wise to find a balance within ourselves. Zeus and Hera can also laugh together, which is a lovely thing in a marriage when you retain that childlike sense of naivete and humour and mischief and delight, and can laugh at each other and, get over some of the slings and arrows of outrageous malfeasances and malformations of the heart and the dick, and in some cases the vagina, because women cheat too. I would have cheated. I guess I would have cheated if I had found someone that actually was genuinely sexually interested in me, and my marriage was just so cold and empty and fucking lonely. But I didn't cheat because in those days I had this weird fucking Jewish thing about, not committing adultery and being responsible and honourable and holding the family together. And in the end I sat there and I thought, what's the fucking point of all this really? So there was kind of an emotional cheating, because I did fall in love with my friend Jared. There was a time when I was quite deeply besotted with him, but he was always a gentleman and respectful and never went there with me, and that's probably why we're still friends 33 years later. To you, Jared. He's a wonderful man and a wonderful friend and a brother to me. He's seen, after my 2 years after my divorce, the most rotten, putrescent, filthy, murderous lovers come and go, And each time they literally tried to kill me or break me down, he was a solid, staunch friend. And most of the time, apart from 3 years when we were not in contact, most of the time he was there for me. A real man, there for me, through thick and through thin, as is my friend Lynn Sloan, and my friend Sally in New Zealand, my friend Margaret, and she lives in Melbourne now, and during my childhood, my friend Lynn Robertson, who was a big part of like a family to me, helped form my psyche as a child too. So you have people in your life who are veritable earth angels who stand by you no matter what, no matter who, and it's difficult and fraught at times, especially when the Tanya spirals down into distress over some lackluster, fake motherfucker. But it happens from time to time, and I always spiral back up again, regain my balance, and ride sleep near to its ultimate conclusion, baby boys and baby girls. It's a long, hard ride through life, but Sleipnir and I are just slowly grazing through the Elysium meadows and enjoying life now. The ones who truly love you never quit, never cede, never yield, never give up on you, babies. And unfortunately, I didn't have that with romantic, sexual love partnership, so it is what it is. Also, bored rich people's games, husbands and wives playing games with women's hearts and minds and emotions and lives. That's an evil, a profound evil that will stain them for eternity, people of Earth. And I'm so glad I did not participate in that. Sick motherfuckers. Mama T has spoken. Right. Yes. Kermie, are you singing, Kermie? Are you singing to Kermie? Right, where were we? He's telling me, Kermie, that his love is real and he will never leave me willingly, because he's a real birdie with real heart and real soul. Oh, projection. But I was told that actually, that one day I would find my own true love who would never leave me willingly and would consistently choose me from his own heart, body, mind and spirit, and would be a good, kind, loyal, loving man. So one day, eh? Maybe in the next dimension. Right, where were we? I've forgotten where we were. Sometimes I do that. I drift off people. It's disassociation from trauma issues. I just go into la la land for a while, but I bring myself back. Right, where were we? My mum, we read that. Committed in life, anger we feel, get away with self-indulgence without consequences. find balance within ourselves. Right, Zeus and Hera can also laugh together. This is the magic ingredient which reconciles them when they have quarrelled, and each stands up to the other. Although Hera is jealous, she is not made of the stuff of martyrs, indeed. She fights back with spirit and wit, rather than dissolving into a puddle of abject self-pity. Thus they respect each other, although they also hurt and anger each other. This myth describes something fundamental about human nature. The grass, as they say, is always greener in the next pasture, and greener still, if it is forbidden. Zeus pursues love objects in part because he is forbidden them. When Hera leaves him, he pursues her with as much passion as he does his illicit loves. And Hera pursues Zeus because she cannot ever wholly possess him. The deepest secret of this Olympian marriage is that enduring love springs from never being entirely able to own the other. By the gods, no man will ever own me, although they do keep trying. Even that younger Brazilian man, 45, on Friday was already trying to take ownership of the mama tea. Chutzpah it was. But you see, people who are drunk and Latin and enthusiastic get terribly excited. So we'll forgive that this time. But I've seen its true nature already, and I only spent, a couple of hours in its company. So bing, bam, boom, baby. It's nice when they show you up front who they truly are. Saves the mess of sweaty knickers and having to disengage. Ugh. Right, where were we? Oh, anyway, I'm sure he was just sent by someone to stir me up, you understand. Someone capital S or someone small s, who knows. But anyway, we did have fun. We had lots of fun dancing wildly. Right, he wanted me to save him from some woman. It was also odd. Grown men needing saving. My goodness. Anyway, you have to laugh. I told my friend Jared about it all. He said, another narcissist, Tanya. I said, I know there's so many now. It's very, very disturbing. But what can you do? Little boy. Right. Yes, where were we? Not owning the other person. You should never take ownership of another person. It's foul, dishonouring, and just kind of fucking sad, quite frankly, if you feel the need to do that. Let people be who they're going to be and fuck off. Seriously. Anyway, I'll show you this painting before we continue. It's quite lovely, actually. Jupiter Beguiled by Juno. James Barry, 1741 to 1806. No matter how often he himself strayed, Zeus could not bear the thought that his wife too might be unfaithful. Wow, takes two babies. And when he thought he had lost her, he was overjoyed to be united with her again. Painful though it may be, when we are confronted with a straying partner, we may do well to ask ourselves whether we have given away possession of ourselves and have therefore become wholly obtainable and owned. As I said yesterday, familiarity breeds contempt. You make yourself unavailable and declare war on their fucktard, lackluster, useless, feckless heads. Suddenly you're imminently desirable again. But Mama T doesn't want that either. I don't want to be desirable because I dared to say no. I want to be desired because I'm truly, greatly, enduringly adored and valued and cherished. I don't want to be anyone's sloppy seconds, thirds, fourths or fifths. Ooh. Right, where were we? And when we are confronted with our own propensity to stray, well, it's not really straying if you're a single woman and you're living your best life and you're doing what you want, whatever, is it? But these idiots that think they control me get quite distressed when they see men showing me genuine interest. What do they expect me to do? Stay asexual celibate for the rest of my life? Got no plans on doing that forever either. I find a decent man who's good and kind and noble and loving and authentic and respectful. Mum will be taking herself off that dusty old shelf. You know how I hate dusting, don't you, darling? But if I have to, I'll dust myself off and get back in the love game again. Although I don't like games. Don't like being played with or toyed with or tricked or fooled, but where were we? Sleipnir in the Elysium fields. We might stay there a little bit longer. It's peaceful and soothing and calming and represents death actually, but anyway, never mind. I mixed my mythologies too because Elysium Fields is a Greek concept and Sleipnir is a Viking. Where does Sleipnir go when he wants a rest? The upper world or the lower world or Midgard? Who knows? I'm not sure. I have to think about that. Probably to Valhalla with the rest of the Valkyries. And when we are confronted with our own propensity to stray, we might ask ourselves whether our pursuit of perfection masks a fear of becoming wholly obtainable and owned. So they're repeating that statement there. No, I'm not looking for perfection because no human being can be perfect. It's too much pressure to put on anyone. We all have our flaws and our foibles. Recognition of this quest for the unobtainable, which lies deep in human nature, can lead us to an awareness of the necessity for compromise if we are to make any relationship work in real life. Compromise is an imperfect solution in which both people get something of what they want. But nobody gets it all his or her own way. Why are you shredding paper, little Bo? What are you doing? Are you bored? Do you need some nookie? I think my birds need nookie. They're chewing paper. By the gods. Well, I could have got a girlfriend for you, Mr. Kermie, but I haven't got a girlfriend for you, Bo. What are we going to do about that? He says, I'm going to die a frustrated cock. Oh, poor birdie. He'll survive. In order to have a workable human relationship, we must give up the ideal of perfection. Yet equally, we must never give up our own souls, people of Earth. There is no resolution in the marriage of Zeus and Hera, and perhaps there is no resolution to the problem of infidelity, literal or fantasized, in human relationships. So much depends on the personal morality, ethics, honesty, self-control, and psychological insight of the individuals involved. Unless we have discovered Zeus and Hera's secret, we may continue to be baffled by marriages in which these mythic antics are enacted, while both partners continue to love and inspire each other. But the more we understand the struggle between commitment and freedom, the better able we are to cope with this tension within ourselves. It is then less likely that we will polarize into a rampant Zeus or a complaining Hera, or alternatively, a complaining Zeus and a rampant Hera. Mama T doesn't do boredom. You understand. You bore me, you're gone. And I find dishonesty and disrespect and dishonour the most boring aspects of all human nature. Bing bam boom, baby. Yes, there's nothing exciting about people playing you false, little boy. And nothing exciting or stimulating about that, and I just simply won't participate in that. Because I've got happiness in my garden with my boys, don't I? Some people might think that's a bit sad and pathetic, but I actually think it's quite wonderful. Attitude is everything. And keeping yourself safe from constant seeping wounds and attacks and heartaches and foulness is primary modus operandi of the Tanya. Are you going to dance with Mama today? We should put on music and dance, little Kermie. I've never seen you dance, Kermie. Charlie used to dance. Yes, she did. On Mama's shoulder. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Boopity boppity boop. I miss her. Because she used to sit on my shoulder and give the Mama kisses. Kisses, little boy. Oh well. Arthur and Guinevere, that was a complicated relationship too. Redemption through suffering. The tale of King Arthur and Queen Guinevere, and of her love for the king's best friend, Lancelot, is one of the best known of all myths about the pain of betrayal. It is also virtually unique in that none of the participants in this triangle attempt to destroy each other, but instead find reconciliation and inner peace through integrity, loyalty to friendship, and a recognition of the essentially sacred nature of deep and heartfelt love. So they were a happy little love triangle. I guess it could happen with the right personalities and being accepting of each other and understanding that you can't give everything, that individual needs more from life. In this case, it was a woman. You know, my mother, she could be quite obnoxious, but she was funny sometimes. One of her favourite movies was Paint Your Wagon, and the woman, the main character in that story, which was set back in the old Western days, you know, I guess 1800s or something like that. Anyway, she was a Mormon, and one of the funny lines in the movie was she had a husband and then she took on a lover, and then someone said to her in the movie, how is it that a woman how is it that you have two men in your life? And very prosaically she said, I'm a Mormon. If a man can have many wives, why can't I have two husbands? And my mother used to laugh, and because my mother had, by that stage, she already had several husbands. And I would just look at her and think, oh, Mum, you're just such a schlumper. But anyway, but not really. She wasn't really a slut. But anyway, I just used to see the funny side of it, you know. The glint in her eye. A woman can have two husbands, Tanya. We have women's liberation. We can have as many men as we want. And all I could think of was as many STDs as you want too, you dumb motherfuckers. But anyway, there is that. But and the irony is, I've nearly always throughout life had two men in my life. This is the longest stretch that I haven't had a lover in my life. But I always, you know, towards the last few years of my marriage, I had two men in my life because I was married. And then I had my friend Jared, who was a solid friend to me. There was nothing romantic between us, even though I did fall quite deeply in love with him at one stage. But there was never any sexual impropriety. It was more of an emotional love affair, I guess you could call it that. And so I had two men in my life, and then when I left Michael, Jared was still in my life, supporting me through that dreadful, evil, ugly, life-threatening divorce. So he was in my life for a while, and then we drifted apart for 3 years because I got a little bit too intense, you understand, having falling in love. And then 2 years went by, and then I got involved with that fucking evil bastard. I won't even name it because it's just a fucking thing. And then after that was sort of went bad, very, very bad and life-threatening. I got involved with David Davidson. So in a weird way, there were two men in my life because Jared came back into my life to support me through that evil fucking relationship. By the gods, that was sordid and evil too. And then later on, you know, I had a few other lovers. After Davidson, one other lover briefly, And then 5 years of celibacy went by because I just got disgusted with the perversions of people who would play you false. And then I met Courtney, and then Courtney had to, we didn't have to, but, explain to him that Jared's my brother, like a brother to me, and it's very much part of my life, and he's not going anywhere. So then I had this sexual relationship with Courtney that lasted 5 years, and Jared was in my life through that, which I'm grateful for, actually, because I don't know, it just kind of kept things very balanced and even and kind of sane, because Courtney had a lot of very, very dangerous, violent, threatening friends, and just what ended the relationship in the end, they crossed the line with the mama tea, threatened me with an ornamental samurai sword, and I tell you what, came very close to being in jail for murder that night, because that friend was drunk and out of his mind on drugs, but I was very crystal clear. The look crossed my eyes, and Courtney turned to me and said, "Don't do it, Tanya." He knew how much danger that man was in that night after threatening me. So I just stood up, walked to my car, said, "I'm out of here." And that was actually more for their safety than for mine, because I was livid, threatening me like that. Fucking animal. Anyway, that was the end of that 5-year relationship. And I did grieve, actually. I grieved it for a year because it happened just after my mother had died, and it's just another foul, evil befoulment. I sat on my couch for a year and I thought, what is it about me that men keep turning savage on me? And what is it I'm actually doing wrong? What role am I playing in all of this? For 1 year, and by the way, I was also in therapy, and I came to the conclusion that there was nothing I could have done. It was just the nature of the beast. There was nothing I could have done differently except walk away with my head held high. And then 4 years later, 4 years after the breakup with the courtmeister, I fell in love again with that dreadlock nitwit. And there were a few lovers in that 4-year period, or really 3-year period, because I grieved Courtney for a year. I took on quite a few lovers, casual partners in that time. I made up for lost time. I thought maybe I need to experience life a bit more by being more sexually amenable. And it just kept getting weirder and weirder and more dangerous and weirder, because, I was meeting these people at the casino, and some of them were really fucking low-level fucking entities. And anyway, after the Dave thing happened, I stayed in love with him for quite a long time, even though we weren't friends or communicating anymore, which is a testament to my weird, fucked up heart, my kintsugi'd, held together by spiritual gold heart. And after 2015, which was just before my suicide attempt, actually, the last time I had sex, I vowed I was never going to have sex again unless the man absolutely, categorically, proven without a doubt in my mind, loved me. And I never found that person. Well, I thought I did. I did think I had found that person a few years back, but, he was allegedly married, and I was standing on my dignity, because I don't want to be an adulteress, actually. It's not my life goals for myself. And he played me a bit of a merry dance in the last couple of years. And I must admit, I got my hopes up. I'll just put it delicately there. And it was insane, the whole fucking thing. Totally insane. Even I admit to that. And because a man who doesn't really love you, and his wife in the background pulling strings, playing games, it's just fucking perverted, people of Earth. But that's okay. They'll go on to, you know, train wreck and destroy other women's lives. And there's a new one up to the plate now, and I'm just sitting back watching her slowly get destroyed like everyone did to me, thinking it's entertaining. It's not entertaining. It's cruel and it's evil and it's sadistic to do that to a woman. You lure her into believing that you love her, even with your wife in the background. A wife we never met, by the way. Isn't that interesting? And playing sick, fucked up games. Well, motherfucker, when you played with the Tanya, you played with the wrong woman. Other women choose to go along with it for the sake of their own ego and pride and their dripping poussées, but not the Mama T. And you knew that. You knew that when you started with me, because you studied me on the internet for fucking years. You knew exactly how I'd react. So, ain't nobody got time for that. Nobody's surprised how I reacted, because I'm a real woman and I'm authentic and I stand by my own values and my own ideals and even my own fantasies at times. It was lovely for a while, believing that I was loved. I admit I was really soaking that up like a sponge, like a dying woman, which at that time I did perceive that I was dying too. I soaked that up like an elixir of life, like an ambrosia of the gods. So to you, my darling, who probably still watches my videos, I do thank you. In your twisted, backhanded way, in your evil, sadistic, cruel way, you made me reclaim myself. Well, you didn't make me. I chose to reclaim myself because I deserved better than that. A real love who's present and accounted for, dates me and chooses me over and beyond all other women. A real love. Anyway, I'm happy in my garden. I think we're going to get another shower and ruin our vibe, but I'm happy in my garden. The sacred space garden where all creativity and all magic and all wonder and all bliss and even real loves can grow from. Right. After many years of wars and battles, having achieved victory over the invading Saxon hordes, King Arthur said to his wise advisor, Merlin, "The time has come for me to take a wife." Merlin inquired whether the king had already made a choice, and it seemed he had, for he had been told of a wondrously beautiful princess called Guinevere, the daughter of King Leodegrance of Cameliard, and was inflamed with love even before he had met the lady. Idealised her as indeed my handsome, talented musician friend idealised me in the beginning. But Merlin was a prophet, and he could foresee that this choice would end in tragedy. If I should advise you that Guinevere is an unfortunate choice, would that change you? Asked Merlin. No, replied Arthur. Well then, if I should tell you that Guinevere will be unfaithful to you with your dearest and most trusted friend, said Merlin. I would not believe you, said Arthur. Of course not, said Merlin sadly. Every man who has ever lived holds tight to the belief that, for him alone, the laws of probability are cancelled out by love. Even I, who know beyond doubt that my death will be caused by a silly girl, will not hesitate when that girl passes by. Destiny, people of Earth. Therefore, you will marry Guinevere. You do not want advice, only agreement. And so Arthur sent Lancelot, the chief of his knights and his most trusted friend, to bring her from her father's house to the king's court. On the journey, Merlin's prophecy came to pass, and Lancelot and Guinevere fell in love with each other. But neither would consent to break their promise to the king. Soon after the wedding, King Arthur had to attend to business elsewhere in the kingdom. In his absence, King Meleagant laid a trap for the queen and seized her and carried her off into his kingdom. No one knew what had become of her. The only way into the moated prison in which Meleagant had incarcerated her was by a perilous bridge, which had never been crossed by anyone, as it was made of sharp swords laid end to end. No one dared go after Guinevere but Lancelot, who made his way through unknown country until he discovered where Guinevere was hidden. What you doing, Kermie? He crossed the sword bridge and sustained grievous wounds, but he rescued the queen and fought and killed Meleagant. And when they returned to the court, she took pity on Lancelot and nursed his wounds herself. As he lay healing, the two at last consummated their secret love. When Arthur returned, Merlin told him that he had seen the queen and Lancelot in a vision, and that Guinevere had betrayed her husband. And other members of the court also told Arthur that the queen and Lancelot were known to secretly love each other. But Arthur refrained from violence or accusation. and held his own counsel, because he knew that both his queen and the friend suffered greatly because of their love, and that both struggled against it as best they could. The age of chivalry, when men were men and women were women, and they did try to live by, the chivalrous code. Because he loved them both, he was loath to destroy either of them through public exposure of the betrayal, as I was loath to destroy either of them. But they had no qualms destroying me at the Koala Tavern. Crossed the line. So he waited, and all three were made wretched because of the love which each bore the other two. But the knights of the court were angry at the shame the Queen and Lancelot had brought to the king, and also they saw a chance for grasping power and ousting the king's best friend from his side. So they plotted to catch Lancelot and Guinevere together in order to bring the king proof of the betrayal and to make public the Queen's misdeeds plural. Among these knights was Mordred, who was the king's illegitimate son and who secretly sought the throne for himself. The quest for power. That night these self-seeking men lay in wait for the lovers and burst into the chamber where they lay. But Lancelot escaped, and the knights took the queen prisoner and brought her before the king with proof of her betrayal. So Arthur was forced against his will to accuse her publicly and made her stand trial. Guinevere was judged guilty and sentenced to the fire. But as she was dragged to the stake, Lancelot, who had received news of her fate while he lay in hiding, rode forth to rescue her. There was a great battle, and many knights were slain before Lancelot carried the queen off to his castle called Joyous Gard. I like that. Joyous Gard. Now Arthur could no longer be forgiving, for Lancelot had killed many of his best knights. So the king set off with his army to besiege the castle of Joyous Gard. But Lancelot refused to ride forth from the castle, for he would not do battle with Arthur. And then Arthur and Lancelot spoke to each other, and each remembered the love and loyalty they held for each other. Lancelot repented and swore he would give up the Queen's love. So Arthur and Lancelot were reconciled. And the painting overleaf is by Herbert James Draper, 1864 to 1920, Lancelot and Guinevere. From the moment that they met, Lancelot and Guinevere fell deeply and irrevocably in love. But at first neither would consent to break their promise of loyalty to King Arthur. Quite beautiful, isn't it? Well, you know, it happens. People fall in love, and sometimes it's a blessing, and sometimes it's a curse, people of Earth. May I merit to no longer have accursed love interests and only the most beautiful and the most noble and courtly and kind. Amen Vasila to that one. Arthur would have taken back his queen, but the other knights would not countenance such a spirit of forgiveness. They demanded vengeance. So Lancelot had to come forth to do battle with these knights, lest he be thought a coward. And a great battle followed. During this battle, Arthur and Lancelot met, and there were tears in both men's eyes. But they could not undo what had been done, and the battle went on around them, although these two had made peace with each other. In a dying post-COVIDian epoch world, peace with each other is much needed, my beloved ones. Just say, at length, both sides were exhausted. A parley ensued, and there was a truce. Arthur returned to court with Guinevere and offered Lancelot his old place at the round table. But Mordred, who saw power slipping from his grasp, plotted the downfall of all three. He led a great host against the king. Can you believe it, boys? We're being rained on again. And in this battle, the king was mortally wounded. That's me, moving it on. Moving it on. I want to sit outside and read to you today. It's lovely, peaceful. Although Lancelot fought on the side of Arthur and killed Mordred, when all was over he could not bear his guilt and told the widowed queen that he must depart forever. So he rode off, "You're all right, little Kermy," and entered a monastery and spent his days repenting his misdeeds. And the queen too could bear neither her guilt nor the loss of both the men she loved. And she took herself to a nunnery, which is what women did in those days. Yes, my darling, I know it's starting to rain. It's only a light shower though. Look, we'll send it on its way. Keep on rolling on, rain clouds. Magical thinking is a bit fun sometimes. Let's see if it works, shall we? Many years passed, and one night Lancelot had a vision in which he was told to go to see the Queen. When he had found the nunnery in which she had spent her days, he was told that she had died half an hour before, and he was faced with her corpse. And then Lancelot took neither meat nor drink, and sickened more and more. Eventually he pined away and died. Oh, bless. He really loved her. Well, my magic didn't work today. But look, it's not strictly true, because over here, blue skies. Just going to get us out of the rain. Come on, little boy. You better come with me out of the rain. Don't want you to get sick. I know. Kermie should be alright. He's got a roof on his cage. Just sit you here under the eaves. Just out of the rain, my love. Yes. Mama T will sit here. See? Already stopped. Mama T's a very good weather witch. All these little sweet little things I have, my magic, but doesn't help me in my love life, does it? Oh, smallest violin. Doodaloo, 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 doodaloo. Doodaloo, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Doodaloo, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Doodaloo, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Doodaloo-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Motherfuckers. I mean, you have to laugh. It is a bit funny. It is a bit funny, darlings. And look, in a way, I was having lots of flashbacks last night. I don't know why I was thinking about that man, because I haven't really thought much of him since the 5th of April, you understand. But anyway, I was having lots of flashbacks of him last night. You'll be gratified to know. Occasionally he's still on my mind. And I was thinking about all the times. It was quite sweet, actually, sweet little memories. His face would literally light up when I'd walk into the club, you know, like over a year ago. I think it was May last year when I walked into the Koala Tavern. The same place where it ended so ugly this year. But anyway, I walked in that Koala Tavern that day after I'd had some weird encounter with 3 Aboriginal women, mother and 2 daughters. That was a very weird night that night, actually. Very, very spiritual. And I walked in and he was playing his guitar but looking quite downcast, actually quite exhausted, quite frankly. You know, he's a hard-working man. Hard-working man, let's be fair. Always have to be fair in life, people of Earth. And he was looking down, and Paulie saw me walking in. He just smiled and nodded, you know. And the drummer, the lorikeets are here. And the drummer, Luke, also saw me and also looked, you know, quite eagerly. And that man was looking downcast. And as I walked into the club, he looked up. Oh, they're looking for their food. Go and feed them. Yes, all right, darlings, I'm bringing it now. He looked up and his whole face lit up with joy. Oh, who doesn't love when someone loves you so much that their whole face lights up with joy when they see you? It was sweet. So I had that little flashback, that little memory. Here's my sweet little boys. All right, you just stay there. I'm just feeding you, all right? All right, don't freak out. There's your food. Good boy. And anyway, and so I had that memory flash back to me, and I was sitting there last night thinking about it. Oh, that was sweet. It was sweet. And then it flashed back to another memory, a more recent memory, of the way he looked at me at the Fridays nightclub when I did my dance to You Ought to Know by Alanis Morissette. And I wasn't being malicious in any way. It was my normal performance art to that normal dance. And he had his new sweetheart there who was, it's just putrescent really, all of it. But anyway, I just did my dance. I'm here to dance. I'm not interested in any of the bullshit, you know. And so I did my wild dance, and he actually moved. Where he was playing was positioned opposite the new flame, you know, which that was okay. I'd actually moved away from her, because I'm not going to participate in this sordidity. And so I'd moved away, and then they started playing, you know. There were a few songs that they were playing, but when they played Alanis, I love that song. Who doesn't? When you're a cuckolded woman who's been played for a dick. So I did my wild dance to that. My normal wild dance to that. Everyone knows. There's a few songs that I go off to. Zombie, You Ought to Know, Joey. Oh, here they come back for their food. That's for you, my sweetheart. Joey, You Too, With or Without You. There's a few songs in my repertoire that I particularly manifest joy to and go off to. Do you want to see? Do you want to see? Here they are. Can you see them? Can you see them? Look how happy they are. Everyone's happy today. And look, the sun's come back out. Can go back out in that chair. It's all wet now though. See? Mama T's magic. It's a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing. But I'm only half joking because I could see the blue skies were around. It was just going to be a sun shower. Anyway, where was I? Yes, so I was dancing to that. And he literally moved from his side of the stage next to Paulie, and they were both side by side playing guitar directly at me, probably to unhinge me, you know. Mama T's not easily unhinged. Not easily unhinged, my darlings. Anyway, I looked up and the new flame had fucked off. Couldn't handle it. Couldn't handle the heat in that kitchen, because they all know Mama T dances to that song. And then anyway, I played a couple more songs after that, and then it was because it was the end of the second set, and I'm not going to hang around for the third set. I'm not here to be degraded and humiliated and played for a dick. But I wasn't actually angry, actually. I was just amused by the whole fucking thing. So I got up and I took photos of all the scenery, which was beautiful. It was a beautiful night that night. It really was. And then I went down to the river and took some more photos. But before I left the Fridays nightclub to go down to the river, he just looked at me like this, with this bright red look on his face, just all fascinated. And I thought, gotcha, boy chick. Anyway, his response was to degrade and humiliate me at the Koala Tavern, mocking and deriding me for choosing Zombie, which is my signature war cry song. So there was other ugliness that went on during the course of that evening. Some of it was his doing, some of it was other people that were there being vicious too. Oh, it was like a bloodletting of a piranha pond that night. Oh, it was ugly. But anyway, because of that, that's what cost him his friendship with me. Absolutely. Bing, bam, boom, baby. Look at this. Look at this. Kermie's all very excited because he can see the lorikeets and little Bo's watching. Right, the rain stopped, boys. We can go back. How long can we go back for? All right, I'm coming back. You can have your food. We're just moving little handsome Bo back where he belongs, on the table with the mama tea. Yes, I know, I love you. You're so cute and adorable. They really are cute and adorable. Right, here we go, handsome boy. Up above my head, blue skies. But yeah, there'll be more showers, but we're all right. We're all right here at Sacred Space. It's all happening. Right. I guess you know you've healed from the distress and the upset when you can look back and focus on the few magical, happy memories instead of the ugliness. Isn't it? It's true, isn't it? Life is beautiful, and I know my worth and my value and my valour, and I know someone wonderful's coming. I don't know when, maybe 5 years, maybe 10, maybe in the next dimension, but someone quite wonderful is coming, and not just coming to use and abuse either, but to genuinely adore and value me. I can't wait. I'm excited thinking about it. It's just, I know it's going to be real next time. I can feel it in my waters. Right. Come on, boys. You get back to your food. That's it. That's it. Charlie might be in heaven, but Mama T still looks after her boys. They're back on the potting bench, eating happily. Right. So we were up to the point where Lancelot sickens with grief over Guinevere, and eventually he pines away and dies. Both Lancelot and Guinevere were placed on the same bier and brought to Lancelot's castle of Joyous Gard. It's kind of interesting. I named my dog Beauregard. Oh well, he's in Valhalla too now. And all the surviving knights who had sought their destruction in life came to honour them in death, for they had expiated their sins. And now all knew of their great love for each other and for the king. So all three were forgiven in death, who were not forgiven in life. Tragic, isn't it? Commentary. The tragic triangle of Arthur, Guinevere and Lancelot is a shining vision of the nobility of the human heart. It portrays a potential of which all of us are capable, but which sadly is rarely met in real life. This triangle is not based, as so many are, on self-indulgence, mere sexual attraction, boredom, or an attempt to escape commitment. It is rooted in deep love on all sides. And it teaches us that love is not always exclusive. We may love different people deeply in different ways. This is a hard thing for the modern person to swallow, for we are brought up to believe that if we love our partners, we cannot possibly love anyone else. We take marriage vows which demand exclusivity, and in our attempts to understand why we get involved in triangles, we persist in believing that those who betray must be shallow and unfeeling. Most of the time they are, though, to be fair. Selfish at best, anyway. In many triangles, shallower reasons, conscious or unconscious, may indeed motivate the betrayal. But the myth of Arthur and Guinevere tells us that this is not always so, and that sometimes life is simply unfair, and so too may be the human heart. Whoa, just had a little bit of slippage in the space-time continuum. We're still filming, yes. Arthur's refusal to retaliate despite his hurt reflects a generosity of spirit and a capacity for self-control which we may well envy. Unfortunately, these qualities are not shared by his knights, who, like so many, are loud and obvious in their condemnation of something they cannot understand, because they have never loved deeply themselves. And these knights also have their own secret agendas, which blind them to the profound rightness of what Arthur tries to do. In popular opinion, a modern-day Arthur, faced with such a situation, may well be thought a wimp, a weak man who tolerates a shameful situation because he is not manly enough to do anything about it. Yet Arthur is the opposite. His loyalty to both his friendship with Lancelot and his love for his wife causes him deep suffering, yet he refuses to betray his own heart, and thus he proves himself more manly than any of the knights who bay for revenge. None of the characters in this story finds romantic happiness in the ordinary sense. But perhaps more important than living happily ever after is the absolute loyalty all three show towards the deepest demands of their souls, even though it costs them nothing less than everything. If the love between Guinevere and Lancelot were anything less than a love of the soul, neither would have given way to temptation. If Arthur's love for both his friend and his queen were anything less than a love of the soul, he would have indulged himself in revenge with the complete approval of everyone around him. There may be times when such a love enters our lives, and if it does, we may understand why the ancients thought it a visitation of a god against which human will is powerless. Even my former beloved one used to mouth the words to me, destiny. I'll never know now, will I, whether he meant to mock and deride and threaten me with an ugly destiny, or whether he meant that his love was real underneath all that ugliness. I'll never know. Sometimes it's good not to know too. Happiness in my garden and peace and my occasional forays to still go out dancing, because no man, woman or child has the right to control, debase, humiliate or destroy me. So the dance continues, my beautiful blessed ones, no matter what, no matter who. Often simple lust, or the secret desire to punish a partner, is disguised by declarations of grand passion. But the real nature of such desire is revealed when we are faced with the kind of choices that are forced on these three mythic figures. Perhaps we may consider ourselves fortunate if such cauterizing fires do not enter our lives. Indeed, if they do, great suffering inevitably ensues for all three people. Yet, if life does impose such a challenge on us, we might do well to remember the story of Arthur and Guinevere, who tells us that betrayal may be the deepest and most profound means by which we come to know ourselves and what we truly believe in. Mordred, King Arthur's illegitimate son, plotted the downfall of both Arthur and Lancelot. He led a great host against the king, who was mortally wounded and lay dying as the battle raged on. L'Amour d'Arthur by James Archer, 1829 to 1904. May we all live happily ever after. What did I do with my little bookmark? Did it fall down? Must have left it on the steps. Anyway, thus concludes today's offering of the 22nd of July 2025. I shall continue tomorrow with chapter 3 of part 3. And chapter 3 concerns marriage. Anyway, it's a beautiful morning. Is it still morning? When did I begin this video? 10 o'clock, I think, 10ish. Meh, semantics. I'll leave you with this lovely scene. Can you see them through the bars of the cage? The little lorikeets are here, Kermie. I'm not sure if you can see them. Let me do this. Try and make it zoom in. Hang on, how do we zoom in? No, it won't let me. Alright boys, you're fine. I'm just showing you off to YouTube. The beautiful, beautiful lorikeets. My beautiful boys and girl, probably. I think they're a mating pair. Yes, Kermie. Look at that, Kermie. He's very intrigued. You're very intrigued by the lorikeets, aren't you, boy? You want to kill them? Oh, that's not nice, Kermie. They're lorikeets. They were friends of Charlie, my birdie I had before you. Your predecessor. Yes, they're family. They're the Birdie Num Num family. Just like you. The Sacred Space family. We're very lucky, Mama T and birdies, aren't we? We've got each other. On that note, bye for now, people of Earth. God bless.